Hello, and welcome back to the studio. I'm Dr. Wigo, and look what I have. It's a Nintendo Switch 2, and I'm amazed I have one, and there's a story. If you're new, there's always a story. I'm an old man, I tell stories. And I'll get to the story in just a second. But if you don't want to hear the story, you can just skip on to the next chapter, which will be the actual unboxing. Oh, and by the way, not just unboxing this, I also have the new Switch 2 Pro controller and a new SD card. Yeah, I'll explain that later. But if you don't want to see the unboxing, you can skip on to the chapter after that, which will be my setup and talking about it and first impressions and all that kind of stuff. So stick around. So the story is, I did not pre-order this because, well, I tried, but if you tried to pre-order one, you know that the pre-order process did not go smoothly for most people. I even went into the Nintendo one, but one of the criteria they used to pick on the Nintendo one was how often you play, and I apparently don't play enough because I never heard from them again. Oh well, I'd just forgotten all about it. But on Thursday, release day, I was watching some videos on YouTube and I came across Austin Evans' This Is channel, and their video was entitled, Why You Shouldn't Buy a Switch 2. I said, well, I'll watch that. And of course, they just convinced me that I should buy one. But in that video, they said that it seemed to be in stock at a lot of places. And I went, well, I got nothing to do. It was 6 o'clock on a Thursday evening, and I said, well, I'll just hop in my car and go driving around. I didn't just hop in my car. First, I checked the Target website, and it said there were some in stock. Not at the stores near me, but at a couple farther away. So I got in my car, and I went to the first Target, and it said they had a few left, and when I got there, there weren't any left. So I got back in my car, and I went to GameStop. They didn't have any either. They only had enough for the pre-orders, and then they did a midnight release thing where they sold all the ones that they had that weren't pre-ordered. So they were out. So I went to the next Target back towards my house, and there was one left. And there was a kid sitting there waiting for them to get it out of the case for him. But there's a Best Buy right by that Target. I went to Best Buy, and they had piles of them. In fact, I was there again today. More to the story in a minute. And they still had them in stock. So Best Buy apparently has plenty of these things, at least in the Memphis area. So you can still get them, maybe. So I bought it, and I got it home, and I was doing all the thing and watching videos, figuring out what I was going to do, and I found out some things that made me wait, I have to go buy more stuff. So this morning, I went out and went on another little trip, running around to all the Targets and everywhere. I found at one of my nearby Targets the micro SD Express card. Yeah, that's how they get you. I have dozens of micro SD cards, but they're not the Express, the really fast ones. And with this guy, you want the really fast ones for loading speed and all that kind of stuff. So I had to go get it. You may not even need one of these because this comes with 256 gig of internal memory as opposed to the original Switch's 32 gig or the Switch OLED's 64 gig, but I like being prepared. The other thing I had to go shopping for while I was out today was a Pro controller for the Switch 2. Now, I have a Pro controller for my original Switch, but apparently that's not what you want with this. You have to have the new one. It's Nintendo. You have to buy new everything. That's how they roll. And by the way, the Target that had this didn't have this, and Best Buy didn't have this. They still had Switches in stock. That's how I know Best Buy still has them in stock because they were there this afternoon. But GameStop had one. So I didn't think I was going to get one right away because I figured, after things die down, I'd get one. Who knew I would get one on launch day? They just walk into a Best Buy and buy them. There were a lot of people buying them, but they had plenty. Like I said, still there this afternoon, this being Friday. Well, that's enough story. Let's see what's in the box. Okay, there we go. Oh, look, there's stuff written right here. There's like instructions on plug it in, set it up, all this kind of stuff. That's good. And here's what's in the box. And if you notice, the Switch itself is right up top. And apparently there was a scandal because some places were stapling the receipts and the staples were going through and hitting the screen. Wouldn't you like to be that guy? Got home, open it up, and there's like gouges in your screen from the staples that they put in, stapling your receipt to it. So here is the actual Switch 2. It's just a screen. Yeah, we'll get to it in a minute. And the new Joy-Cons, which are apparently much improved. I'll be the judge of that momentarily, but they're bigger and heftier and bulkier. I'll be comparing it to the original Switch. Well, and so these are magnetic, and you just, there you go. They just snap right on. Now, what's under here? What's under here is my Mario Kart World digital download code. I got the bundle. Best Buy had lots of these. The $450 ones were sold out, but they had plenty of the $500 ones that come with the Mario Kart World, and I needed at least one game that was a Switch 2 game to test it out. And we have our safety instructions and all the little booklet stuff. A high-speed HDMI cable, because this baby on the dock puts out 120 hertz 4K HDR. That's the real reason I wanted it. My old Switch is fine, except on this TV, it's 1080p, and I have a giant 83-inch OLED 4K TV, and so 1080p, yeah, it really doesn't cut it. But now I've got the cable. I have cables. Oh, and then these little guys, we'll get to them in a minute. These are the things that wrist straps and that can turn the Joy-Cons into mice. Yes, that's right. The Joy-Cons can be taken off and used like mice. Who knew? But wait, there's more. There's even more. Down here, we have the god-awful, if you want to take this off, oh wait, how do you take this off? You push here, and they just fall right off. You put that on here, and you push here, and it pops right off. And now you have a really crappy little controller. So if you're doing it like on your TV in the dock, you can take the Joy-Cons off and have a controller. It is not terribly ergonomic. It does not feel good in the hand. I don't have a lot good to say about this, but I don't care because I got the Pro controller for when I'm sitting playing on the TV in my living room. So I don't need this horrible little thing. Wait, there's still more. It's all USB-C now. So here's the little USB charging puck. And then, of course, the USB-C to USB-C cable to plug that in. Which, by the way, if you're plugging this into your wall and then, to use by your TV, you're not going to want to be very far away because this is only about a 3 or 4 foot cable. And then the other big thing down here is the dock. And that's everything in the box except the instructions that are here on the top when you open it. And here's the new dock, which apparently has all sorts of good stuff and got a couple of USB-A ports over here. The important stuff is in here where we've got the HDMI, the power. Oh, and looky down here, Ethernet. Now the Switch 2 is Wi-Fi 6, whereas the original Switch was not that. Slower than that. And Wi-Fi 6 is pretty fast, but from early reports, people find that if you plug it in wired, you get much faster download times. So even with Wi-Fi 6 and good Wi-Fi, it's still faster to do wired downloads. So I will be wiring it to my Ethernet. Oh, they're even labeled. AC adapter, HDMI out, LAN. But let's start comparing. So this is the new dock, and this is the original dock. And you can see the new dock is much bigger. And here we have AC adapter, USB, HDMI out. Here the USBs, there's 2 of them on the side, outside, so you don't have to go inside. It's a beefier dock. It's a beefier thing. Let me put my Joy-Cons back on. That is surprisingly satisfying, snapping that on. And again, these little buttons just, it pushes out a little thing there that's just enough to push it far enough away to, when you press the button, it pushes out that far, which is just far enough to let you pull it on away. Okay, so there's the Switch 2, and there's the Switch 1. So $300, $450. This one has a custom Tegra chip. This one has a custom NVIDIA chip. Again, I already mentioned 32 gig of internal memory, 256 gig of internal memory, 4.3 milliamp hour battery in this and a 5200 milliamp battery in this. But Nintendo says the battery life on this is 4.5 to 9 hours, whereas on this it's 2 to 6.5 hours. So this is pulling a lot more power, so you don't, even with the bigger battery, you actually get less battery life. But the spec that I really care about is the video out from the dock is 1080p here and 4K here, 60 frames per second here, and 120 frames per second here. And we have HDR support on this, on the new guy, and variable refresh rate up to 120 hertz. So the frame rate will stick with the refresh rate, so games will look much better. And from what I've heard, they do. You'll see in a little while. Okay, the dimensions I have are in millimeters, so I'll put them on the screen in inches, but this is 102 by 239 by 13.9 millimeters. And this one is 166 by 272 by 13.9 millimeters. So it's the same, they're the same thickness. But this is a 6.2 inch screen. The Switch OLED has a 7-inch screen, but this is a 7.9 inch screen. And you can see it's substantially bigger. The old guy weighs 297 grams or 0.88 pounds. The Switch OLED is 320 grams or 0.93 pounds. This one's 400 grams. This has a USB-C port on the bottom, which is how it attaches to the dock. This one also has the USB port on the bottom to attach to the dock, but there's also a USB port up on top next to the fan exhaust. Yeah, it has a much better cooling system, so you won't get a lot of throttling with this guy. Before we get into trying out, let's go ahead and unbox the Pro Controller 2, which comes with a USB-A to USB-C cable and the controller itself. Now this is the old Pro Controller. I've been playing with this for years and years, and it works great. This one feels a little better in the hand. I think it's a little bit heavier, but not much. But look at these shoulder buttons. They're way fancier. They're a different color anyway. But there's also little paddles back here on the back. But you don't have to use them if you don't want to. But other than that, the layout is the same. We've got the same buttons. Oh, the sticks feel way better. Oh yeah, I like the sticks a lot better on this guy. So that's the end of the unboxing. Let's fire this baby up and see what's going on. Oh, the power button's slightly recessed. There we go, Nintendo. I'm getting a little song. English US, the Americas, accepting the license. Connect to my network. The feel of the little keyboard is good. Connecting. These speakers sound a lot better than the speakers on there. I usually play on the TV, not handheld, so I very rarely use the speakers, internal speakers. Do I have to start a timer on this? It's taking a long time. There we go. Wait. No, it's not. Couldn't connect. Ah, there we go. Don't know why it couldn't get an IP address before, but connection successful. Okay. Oh. Goody. Update data. Let's see how fast that goes. While it's doing that, I'll tell it my time zone. Oh, I didn't even show the kickstand. But while it's telling me to, see, it has a really nice, and it's got a lot of range of motion, so there's a lot of ways you can use that. Whereas really on the original, we had this horrible, crappy little kickstand that was like over on one side. But the card slot was underneath that, and guess what? Card slot's under here too. Tells you how to take the Joy-Cons off. I already showed you how to do that. Okay. Oh, it's going to make me do this to prove that I know how. Oh, now it wants me to pull the other one off. Select next with the controller I just used. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to connect to a TV later. Oh, here's the thing about, I already showed you that. You can connect it to the Joy-Con grip, which I think kind of sucks. Yeah, we already told you how to do that. Oh, you put it on from the bottom and then snap in at the top. Look at the difference between the buttons on the inside of the Joy-Con here. Little teeny tiny buttons on the old one, great big buttons on the new one. Oh, and then the little release button will pop this thing off too. There we go. Okay. So again, you can play with them connected, you can play with them separately, you can play with them on that little thing, you can play with them on the TV. Couldn't download the update data. I can't transfer because I didn't do the update because the update failed. This is how all my updates go. It never just works the first time. I'm going to pause recording and go down and get closer to my Wi-Fi, maybe even use the dock and plug it in. I'll get this all straightened out and then I'll come back and we'll get back into it.
A little later.
And we're back. That took about 10 minutes. It kept saying 3 minutes left for like 5 minutes. The system update finished and it started the transfer, but before it starts the transfer, it wants me to insert my micro SD express card. And look, it'll tell me how. Open the stand, put it in the slot. Well, that's a really good explanation. Which must be this little slot over here. I can use this micro SD card once the system updates. I thought the system just updated. It's going to update again. I guess it was just updating to add the SD card. I'm sorry, micro SD express card. Okay, it can now be used. Do not eject it. Sign into my Nintendo account. Okay, now I got a confirmation code, and there I am. Okay, won't let me do it without connecting an AC adapter. Well, I get to stop again and go downstairs again because I can't plug both of these things into AC adapters up here because I don't have enough outlets, and I'll be back again.
Many hours later.
Fucking Nintendo. I couldn't get it to transfer to work between the systems. It just kept saying you need to be connected to power. I kept connecting to power. It wouldn't get. When on Reddit, there's a thread that says, oh, you have to use this adapter, the one that came with it. Oh, and your original Switch has to be plugged in using its original adapter, or it doesn't recognize that there's power coming to it, even though it says charging. Oh, I'm so annoyed. System transfer complete. Press the home button. There are all my games, but of course they're not downloaded. I also had to update the software on the old Switch so that it would have the transfer to Switch 2 functionality. On the Switch 2, there's a little border around the icons instead of each one being in a little circle. So to show off anything, I have to download games, and they all say they're going to take like 30 minutes. I've already wasted an hour just trying to get the thing transferred. We're going to stop here, but there'll be a review of the Switch 2 coming up on the channel after I've downloaded some games and played, and I will show you the differences. I'm sorry. This is just Nintendo. They just make it hard. And then they grub you for a whole bunch of money. You know, the games on the Switch 2 are going to be $70 instead of $60 downloaded. If you want a cartridge, that's going to be an extra $10, so that'll be $80. Oh, and they have a game like Astro's Playroom to show off all the things the Switch can do and how to use the Joy-Cons as mice and all that stuff. Yeah, it costs $10. Not free. You have to pay $10 and download it. I'm just tired of Nintendo's greed, and they just want to suck all the money out. But I love the games. What are you going to do? Come back for the review in a couple of weeks. Next week will be the Apple announcements that are going to be like on Monday. So, and my videos drop on Sunday, so you'll have already seen everything about them. But come back for my point of view. So that's it for the Nintendo Switch 2 for now. So that's it for today. Thanks for stopping by. See you next time. Bye-bye. Now I gotta go download games for several hours, and then we'll see about getting a review of this thing in a couple of weeks. Thanks for staying to the end. Bye-bye.